All right, so here's the plan today.
We're gonna chill.
We're gonna chill. We want to talk about subscription services because this is a thing that
Is a thing.
It matters a lot. And
It's definitely the trajectory, I think, of not only like consoles. I think we're going to see this more on PC. It's going to be the gaming landscape in general.
It's definitely having a transformative impact right now, and I think its impact is only going to become more profound in the coming months and years.
Especially with 5G and streaming, it's going to be
All
even
that
more
stuff.
of a thing.
So let's talk about.
Let's speak to my manager
about subscription services. Alright, so let's talk about it. There are quite a few different data points that exist with regards to how subscription services are already transforming video games. We're going to go through a lot of those today. And I guess we kind of want to look at the pros and cons, right? Because there are a
some
lot
pros.
There are a lot of pros and there are also a lot of cons. And that's the reality of streaming. When something is this disruptive, it definitely has some good and bad things on either side. So first of all, we have to acknowledge that the biggest benefit is that we get lots of cheap games, okay? $10 and we can get on Game Pass or that Ubisoft thing that has like 50 copies of Far Cry on it and 50 copies of Assassin's Creed and like 2 other games.
EA Origins,
which has like the sports
all the
games.
microtransactions in the world.
Correct.
Wonderful.
And what am I missing? Game Pass? Oh, PlayStation Now. There's that. So basically $10 you get access to all those games, and according to people who know about this stuff, people actually play them. They say that subscribers are playing 40% more games, and that's a good thing. Like if you have access to a catalog of games, people are actually using them. So that's
good to know. 40% of people are playing the games. But
nice.
Look, I think it is very much video games and chill. It's good to have a Netflix-based service. You can jump in, play all sorts of games. That's pretty cool, But the question is, if I have like a billion games and I'm paying $10 a month, do I value them as much? Let's be real. If I'm buying, Pink Floyd, The Wall or something vinyl compared to I'm listening to Pink Floyd on Spotify, which one do I value more? Let's be real. It's definitely Spotify. No, it's definitely going to be the vinyl, and this might be the situation.
I agree. There's actually a question here in the GDC survey recently where developers were asked what they thought about this topic. 4,000 developers were interviewed, over 1/4 of which were concerned that such models would devalue games.
Yep.
But another fourth weren't worried at all. 28% acknowledged subscriptions might devalue games, and 18% they said they didn't know. And I think about this, and I'm like, well, do I value Sopranos more if I watched it on DVD versus now if I can watch it on like HBO subscription thing? I don't think so.
Look, I think it's like,
you know what I mean?
I hear you. I definitely feel like from the beginning of money, right? The moment you put money down, the moment you invest money, like money-wise, there is something inside you that you value that more, If you are just paying a certain subscription every month and you're able just to pick that out of the many others you can pick, there is a devaluing, I think, of that experience in some way.
Look,
if I got a car, if I was from some rich family and I was given a Ferrari, I'd be like, oh, thanks, that's sick. If I had to work and buy it with my own money, it's a different experience entirely. That's what I'm saying. Come on, people, do you understand?
I feel like it's like, would you value your Ferrari less if you rented it versus if you bought it? But even then, I think the Ferrari's a different thing. Totally different thing.
The Ferrari's a hard analogy,
like The Boys on Amazon, right? The Boys I just watched on Amazon. It's a fucking sick show.
Yeah, really? Okay, I gotta watch that.
So good. And I'm like, would I have liked that less if I had to buy the DVDs? No, I love The Boys. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, The Boys.
I get it. I get what this person's saying. Like if I have a special collector's edition hard case, special physical disc thing that sits on my shelf and I can look at it and go and pass it on to my son one day, Sure, I get that.
Sure.
But I don't feel video games are a cheaper medium. I don't feel less connected to them. I don't feel like I value great video games any less if I play them on subscription.
Yeah, sure, no, I hear you. But I think there are some aspects of the subscription service that are going to help us in the free-to-play battle, because we're seeing more free-to-play shit, and this might insulate some of us and the devs from having to make crappy games.
Yeah, there's a quote here from a GamesIndustry.biz article that reads, I feel the free-to-play ad-based strategy is driving the mobile market into a crappy one. full of clickbaity small experiences, said one respondent. This is to the survey. A fixed price for a huge list of free games to play might be a good way to give the video game art form some freedom back, so we can make good experiences that don't need to last more than it asks for, just to make more money, engage, retain, monetize, and so on.
I think that's such a good quote, because it's so
a very
true.
good quote.
I mean, I feel like more and more we are seeing experiences that the developer will create, and we know, and like they know, maybe it should end here, but they need to monetize forever. So it just continues into this area where it's just like, it's just this dead carcass on the ground. They're just kicking it like, come on, make us more money. Like, it should be, if something is 6 hours, let it be 6 hours.
No, I totally agree.
You know
with
what I
that.
mean? Even Journey, 3 hours Journey was, and it was great. This will hopefully give, some developers some peace of mind knowing that they can continuously monetize by people playing that through the Game Pass. And we might see some higher quality video games because of it.
Sure, and I think even Apple Arcade's a good example of this, where they've said we're only going to have good games on this service, and you pay for it like per month, and you've got access to a good library of games. And so developers are going to be encouraged to make good games for mobile now, because they know there's a chance that Apple could buy that product, put it on there, and then everybody wins. So I do see the logic behind this. I agree with it, and I mean, that's a good quote.
And I think that developers, though, this is the thing. Will they be making less money? This is a legitimate thing, okay?
It's a very
because
legitimate.
if we look at Spotify, perfect example, a lot of artists are coming out and just kind of protesting against streaming because, or subscription-based music playing. Because you're making like per 0.004 cents per 1,000 plays now, compared to people walking in buying the album for $24.99 or whatever. They are making less money. I mean, there's no question about that. I wonder if this is going to be similar for subscription-based video gaming.
Yeah, it's a point that people are really divided on, because obviously if your game goes gangbusters and in sales like Untitled Goose Game or whatever else, then sure, like you're lucky and that's great, and you made way more money by not having it on a subscription service.
Sure.
But if you had it on a subscription service at the start and people picked it up and it went gangbusters, then cool, like you still got paid because it was on a subscription service.
Yeah,
so, like,
I hear you.
There's risks and like potential upsides and downsides either way. Like, there's every chance that Untitled Goose Game just disappeared into the nether and no one knew it existed, but luckily it blew up. It eventually came to a subscription service, and now even more people get to experience it. Publishers themselves are quite divided on this. So recently, Take-Two was asked about The Outer Worlds, which you may remember was available on Game Pass on day one, and we're asked how did that affect it? And the CEO said, generally speaking, we think subscription offerings, to the extent they exist, are probably better suited to catalog, which means the older stuff, not newer games.
Yep.
But we're willing to take experimental chances when it makes sense for a particular title and when the deal underlying the option also makes sense for us.
Yeah, look, I mean,
I like that, by the way.
You like that quote? Oh, good.
No, I mean, I like that idea.
Oh, okay,
I like
see.
that. I actually like the idea a lot. That new games you buy
Like
them
in the movies, and then they come to
Correct.
DVD.
I love
kind of thing.
that idea.
I think that's a good idea.
I think that's a good idea. I
And
really
I
do.
mean, that's a way to constantly monetize that product. But back on the other thing, in terms of, when, let's just say Justin Bieber, right? Does he need Spotify? No, but there's such a huge trend now that has put all the music on Spotify that he has to like jump on, and he probably makes a little bit less money compared to selling his own records. You might say that Untitled Goose Game just was lucky and it blew up, and then it came to a
Very
Game Pass
lucky.
later. There are a lot of titles that will not need Game Pass, but the sad reality could be that it becomes such a trend that people just have to throw their game on there and take a little bit of a loss, just like all these major artists do when they go on Spotify.
Totally agree with that. That's very true. From a developer's perspective, one of the comments that has been made repeatedly is that this format actually encourages developers to try weird stuff. Recently, a game called The Outer Wilds was released, and it was also available on Game Pass. And one of the creators of that game said, I think it's been a big shift with subscriptions. The same way it's changed TV and the movie worlds, the subscription system is also going to impact the games industry very significantly. We're starting to see that, and starting to see it maybe unlock the market to weirder things and more original things that would have been too risky beforehand.
Definitely. I think that, a lot of people would have never jumped on for The Outer Wilds, but if it's
For
just
sure.
in the Game Pass, I've already paid $10,
Yeah.
I'll give it a go.
And can I say, as a reviewer, it's actually a really big deal for me as a reviewer, because I feel like when I feel like I love something, I want to convince people to try it. That makes me really happy when people try something that I love and I get to share that with them, right? And then being able to just say to someone, hey man, it's on Game Pass. That's so powerful, because then there's so much more chance they will give it a go. So many people in my Game of the Year video, when I said Outer Wilds was #1, they're like, I never would have tried this except for your review, and that I have Game Pass, gave it a go, best game I've ever played in my life. And I'm like, fuck yeah, man, that's awesome.
Definitely.
So I love that possibility.
Because it takes away the barrier to entry. I totally hear that. So again, I mean that is also a good thing in terms of streaming. I keep saying streaming is also a good thing when it comes to subscription services. But I mean, this is the thing. It's kind of there's some pros and cons there. It's not really. There's no definitive yes it is bad or yes it is good, you know. But I do think one thing is for sure, this is going to massively change the landscape. It's changed the landscape for movies and music and TV shows, of course. And gaming is the next one, you know, especially when we see streaming, 5G and stuff. That's just going to be a huge part of the whole gaming strategy of like bringing it to the mobile. Just pay $10.99 a month, everybody. You get to play whatever you want on your mobile. It'll just fit so well with that strategy.
Playing Overwatch on mobile, Sam?
I would do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice hat, by the way.
What's wrong with my hat?
Anyway, guys, thanks very much for watching. And don't forget to subscribe to the Laymen. Hey!
Terrible.